Some national parks don't just impress you, they change the way you think about the natural world. Today we take you to 5 parks where the wildlife, the scale, and the sheer abundance of life will genuinely blow your mind. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Kruger National Park is South Africa's most celebrated wildlife sanctuary, and its reputation is fully deserved. Covering nearly 20,000 square kilometers of bushveld in the northeast of the country, Kruger is one of the largest national parks in Africa and supports populations of lion, leopard, elephant, rhinoceros, and buffalo, the Big Five, in numbers that make it one of the best places on Earth to see each of them. But Kruger is more than a checklist. The park contains over 500 species of bird, 114 species of reptile, and landscapes that range from the Mopane woodland of the north, where elephant herds can number in the hundreds, to the riverine forest of the south, where leopards and nyala move through the dense vegetation along the Sabi and Crocodile rivers. A dawn game drive in Kruger, when the light is low and golden and the bush is still cool and quiet, is one of those experiences that reminds you what the natural world was like before we reduced so much of it to fragments. The park has been protected since 1898, making it one of the oldest game reserves in Africa. And in over a century of protection, it has rewilded itself with a completeness that should make every other conservation effort on the continent both humble and genuinely hopeful. If you could spend one night in Kruger, where would you choose to stay? Iguazu Falls sits on the border between Brazil and Argentina, and it is, by almost any measure, the most spectacular waterfall system on Earth. The falls consist of 275 individual cascades spread across a frontage of nearly 3 kilometers, the water dropping between 60 and 82 meters into the canyon below in a continuous wall of white water, mist, and noise that can be heard from 25 kilometers away. The Devil's Throat, the largest single cascade, a U-shaped chasm where 14 falls converge, produces a column of spray that rises 30 meters above the canyon rim and is visible from the air. Eleanor Roosevelt, on seeing Iguazu for the first time, reportedly said, "Poor Niagara." The comparison is apt. Iguazu is nearly 3 times as wide as Niagara and significantly higher. But statistics fail to capture what it actually feels like to stand at the railing above the Devil's Throat with the water roaring below you and the spray soaking your clothes and the sound filling your skull. A physical experience of natural power that reduces most visitors to silence. The national parks on both the Brazilian and Argentine sides protect a subtropical rainforest home to jaguars, giant otters, tapirs, and over 400 species of bird. If you have been to Iguazu, tell us which side you preferred, Brazil or Argentina. Hardangervidda is Europe's largest mountain plateau, a vast, open, wind-scoured highland wilderness in western Norway covering over 8,000 square kilometers at an altitude of between 1,000 and 1,400 meters above sea level. It is a landscape of almost complete horizontal openness. No trees, no buildings, no roads across most of its surface, just the plateau stretching in every direction under a sky that, in the right conditions, seems to constitute most of the visible world. The Hardangervidda National Park protects the largest wild reindeer population in Europe, over 10,000 animals that move across the plateau in seasonal migrations that have been following the same routes for thousands of years. The Voringsfossen waterfall, on the western edge of the plateau, where the land drops suddenly toward the Hardangerfjord below, falls 163 meters into the gorge, one of the most visited natural sites in Norway, and one that earns its reputation. In winter, when the plateau is covered in deep snow and the temperature drops to levels that make movement genuinely difficult, Hardangervidda is one of the harshest environments in Europe. It was here that Roald Amundsen trained for his expedition to the South Pole, using the plateau's conditions as the closest available approximation of what Antarctica would demand. The fact that he chose Hardangervidda rather than any other wilderness in Europe tells you something about what this place is. We think this is one of the most underrated landscapes in Europe. Did you know it existed before today? The Pantanal is the largest tropical wetland on Earth, a vast floodplain covering up to 195,000 square kilometers across western Brazil, Bolivia, and Paraguay that fills with water in the rainy season and transforms into a mosaic of lagoons, rivers, forest islands, and open grasslands supporting the highest concentration of wildlife in the Americas. It is not a place that announces itself dramatically. There are no mountains, no waterfalls, no geological formations that stop the breath. The Pantanal's power is biological. It is simply alive in a way that exceeds almost anywhere else on the planet. The jaguar population of the northern Pantanal has become the most visible wild jaguar population on Earth. Animals that in most of their range are almost never seen have here, through decades of protection, become observable in daylight from the river with a regularity that still seems implausible. Giant river otters fish in the oxbow lakes. Hyacinth macaws, the largest flying parrot in the world, their plumage a blue so vivid it seems artificial, move through the palm forests in pairs. Giant anteaters cross the grassland at dusk. The sheer abundance of the Pantanal, the sense that life here is not struggling but flourishing, not holding on but overflowing, is the thing that stays with you longest. In a world where most wildlife news is bad news, the Pantanal is one of the places that still gives genuine, unqualified cause for wonder. Did you know the Pantanal was this wild before today? Etosha National Park in northern Namibia is built around one of the most unusual geographical features of any wildlife sanctuary on Earth. A vast salt pan, 120 kilometers long and visible from space, that was once a shallow lake and is now a shimmering white expanse of mineral crust that reflects the sky like a broken mirror. The pan itself supports almost no life. But around its edges, at the waterholes where the groundwater reaches the surface, Etosha concentrates wildlife with an intensity that few places on Earth can match. In the dry season, when the pan is at its most extreme and the surrounding bush is parched, every animal in the park converges on those waterholes. Elephant herds arriving at dusk in columns of dust. Black rhinoceros materializing from the darkness at the floodlit waterholes at night. Etosha is the only park in Africa where you can reliably see black rhino from a fixed point after dark. Lion prides moving across the pale grassland in the early morning. The pan itself, in the right light, particularly at the edges where the mineral crust meets the water in patterns of white and blue, is one of the strangest and most beautiful landscapes in Africa. We think Etosha is one of the most underrated parks in Africa. Do you agree? If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up and subscribe so you never miss the next cinematic video. Safe travels, everybody!